Hello, this is Charles Bradbury and welcome to Crash Course World History. Today we're going to be talking about the British invasion. No, Max, the British colonization. So, after Columbus discovered the Americas in 1492, Spain established a huge and profitable overseas empire with the help of notable asshats, Hernan Cortez and Francisco Pizarro. This left much of Europe, and of course England, and Scotland rather jealous. This led to Scotland to try and colonize Panama in what became known as the Darien disaster, and because a quarter of all Scotland's money was invested in the ill-advised endeavour, Scotland's economy tanked and thus made it powerless to resist the Act of Union with England in 1707, which created Great Britain. And after the Protestant Reformation in 1517 and King Henry's conversion to Protestantism in 1534 because he was sick of his old life and wanted a new one, a recurring theme with King Henry, England and Spain became enemies, and England sent privateers, notably Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh, to the Caribbean to prey on Spanish galleons. Let's go to the thought bubble with Hugo.
Trade between Britain and the colonies had gotten very widespread and profitable, and when things start making money, criminals do too. Pirates plagued the trade routes all around the world, especially in the Caribbean, which is where Pirates of the Caribbean came from. Pirates would board a ship, take all the goods, and quickly sail away, making them very hard to catch and prosecute. This led to the Queen of England to start hiring privateers, or pirate hunters. These were bounty hunters hired to rid the ocean of Britain's enemies. This eventually led to the development of a strong British navy who would eventually topple the Spanish.
And for some reason, these privateer raids angered the Spanish and were an important factor in the Spanish sending their Armada to invade England. The Armada was beaten by Drake and Raleigh with the use of fast maneuverable English ships, and the result was a power shift in Europe away from Spain and toward England, and the ability of England to establish its first permanent settlement in the Americas in 1607 at Jamestown. Oh, what's that? It's time for the open letter? With Hugo?
And now it's time for the open letter. But first, let's do it in the secret compartment. A pirate sword. Psh, psh, psh. Alright. Dear Jamestown, congrats for having the guts to start the very first colony in North America. Even if it did totally fail, most of you died. It's so awesome how you couldn't figure out how to work together and plant crops, so when winter came, you all froze or starved to death. I guess you figured out pretty quick that Virginia's a pretty crappy place to grow stuff, huh? Too bad you didn't just go a little bit further south and settle in Georgia or South Carolina, where the temperature doesn't get below freezing every single day. It was especially helpful how you had the Taylor Swift-esque relationship with the Powhatan Indians. You got more fights and made up more than a tween romance. Overall, you guys really should just stay at home and let the smart people go. But then again, the smart people probably did stay home. Best wishes.
This sparked off an era of British colonization in the Americas, with in 1620 the Mayflower landing and 1648 Bermuda being claimed. And in the 1670s, the Hudson Bay Company was founded to explore and trade furs in northern Canada. The Hudson Bay Company still exists, by the way, in the form of a department store. The economic system of the colonies was mercantilistic, and in the Caribbean, sugar production fueled by the slave trade was the basis of the economy. In New England, it was fishing and whaling, and in Canada, it was fur trade and logging. In the southern colonies, such as the Carolinas or Georgia, tobacco and indigo and cotton were grown as the main crops. In the social hierarchy, slaves are at the bottom, and then the propertyless whites, and then the artisans, and then the farmers, and then the professionals and merchants, and at the top were the elite. But unlike most of Europe, the colonies had some degree of representation in the government. Women, of course, had a lower social standing than men, due partly to the religious traditions of the colonies. A lot of immigrants who moved into the initial wave of people into the 13 colonies were religious zealots. They saw the Church of England as decadent and sought to build a society with their church at its center. But while not the church... Yeah, that was good, but we'll just cut the end. But while not members of the Church of England, they were still Protestant, and this created many differences between the British America and the Spanish America. One result was that independence and free thought were at the center of the colonial ideology from the start. And with the Mayflower Compact, the representation in politics, and the relative freedom of religion in the Americas allowed things like the American Revolution and the superior economic and political stability of the once British colonies compared to those that were once Spanish.